and there's the whistle. Lobergeiger kicking across towards the terrace side of the field, deep to Valley's. Good effort from Pute. He's into touch. The touch judge's flag up, 20 yards out from the line.
Good run by Pute. Saw the opening after gathering the ball on the bounce and ran well, a good 20 yards.
A great atmosphere for the start of this grand final game, the 1970 grand final between Norths and Valleys. And it's a Norths ball as it comes to Adams, back to Brown. Brown to full-back, Lobergeiger into the movement and plenty of tacklers, but he broke out of 2 tackles and he's down 20 yards out right in front of the post as Norths play the ball back to Brown, sending it on to Stapleton, the prop forward. Hooker Wilson distributes this time to Brown again, who's right up starting all these movements, certainly organising the play for Norths, as he most times does anyway. On to Adams. Adams to Kleinhands out wide. Kleinhands bowled over just as he was getting the ball away, but it looked fair enough to me as Gill came through. Valleys play it back. Second row, Perkins, one of their strong running second row forwards. The tackler was Harrison. North centre, now Trelfo, Valley's half-back to Scanlon, the 5'8", out wide to the full-back, Clark into the movement, Abraham the winger, a good run from Abraham, down the touchline, whipped back inside, here's Scanlon backing up beautifully, and Valley moved right downfield. Abraham pushed into touch and slow getting to his feet, but Valley now in a good attack as it moves across to Gill. Gill lobs one out wide now into Smith. Smith looking to his winger Norris, and Norris is pulled down and into touch, 20 yards out. Well, there was some great attack from Valley.
Some brilliant attack by Valleys, and they are carrying 2 casualties at the moment. Abraham's received a nasty bump from Richards, but is back onto the field. The 5'8", Marty Scanlon, seems to have received a bump low down, just below the pelvis. And there is a Norths man also on the field, Peter Stapleton, who received a very nasty bump in the opening minute of play.
Well, it's certainly been fast and hard and tough in these first few minutes of play. Only about 2.5 minutes on the clock. No score, but players from both sides have been feeling the effects already of some pretty hard bumps. Crowd of about 30,000 here at Lang Park. Referee Ron Ward puts the scrum down. It's only 20 yards out from North's line. Brown's ball into the scrum. North skipper back on Valley side. Trelfo claimed immediately by Brown. Trelfo back Perkins, taking on North's forwards. Gill in the dummy half position. Here's McCabe, the big youngster. Valley's forwards not frightened to take North's on, front on and down the middle, which rather surprises at this stage. Here's a field goal attempt from Smith, with North's picking up the loose ball, and it's Hall, the front row forward. Stapleton down the middle. North's forwards returning the compliment of Valleys by coming straight down the middle then, and here's Hall just wide of the ruck and straightening up down the middle. Plenty of defenders for big Peter Hall, North's heavyweight prop, and it gained a couple more yards. He certainly knows how to take advantage of every situation as John Brown serves the blind side to Lilly. Right winger Eric Lilly. One of the tacklers was Crilly, number 9. The other one was Gill. Now Lobergeiger up behind that movement to the 5'8", and then Kleinhands trying to get it away as it plonked across, picked up by Perkins. Harrison was the tackler of Perkins, and now it's a Valley ball. Abraham on the wing, and racing through goes North's lock forward streak for the tackle. Very close to the halfway mark. Valley ball, and here's McCabe. Crunch straight into North's forwards, and that's the 4th tackle. The scrum to pack down on the halfway mark. No score in the match, 3 minutes of play.
And note how quickly the tackler moves in to kill the ball carrier. Any loose balls are immediately claimed, and a tackler right across the top, no seconds to spare.
Trelfo back to Clark, the fullback. Line side, and North's in quickly to Clark, one of the danger players as far as they're concerned. Now Trelfo, Scanlon, the 5'8". Mick Rexus was coming inside, but it's across to Ray Smith in the centres. Harrison trailing him across and half takes him after he'd kicked the ball, but Lobergeiger picking it up, and under pressure Lobergeiger, Norris coming at him, and so too is another player up there as well, but the touch judge's flag is up, indicating something. There's a fight going on the sideline. The referee holding up play. Harrison is involved in the skirmish with another Valleys player, apparently following the incident with Smith.
Yes, and I think you will find that there will be a penalty awarded to Valleys as Harrison claimed Smith after he had kicked the ball. They carried on the movement over the touchline on the running side of the field in one of the tracks in one of the running lanes, and I've no doubt that there will be a penalty awarded to Valleys.
Yes, I think that referee Henry Albert, who got onto the ground very smartly to notify the referee Ron Ward of that incident, but now Lober Geiger is on the ground following the tackle and he picked up the loose ball. Harrison is the player being called out, who had a half headlock on Smith but appeared to be letting Smith go and trying to get away from the movement. I think he was coming into the tackle. I didn't see what happened after that as we followed the ball down to Lober Geiger, but it's a penalty to Valleys in a pretty convenient spot, although it's well back, but nevertheless it's on the 25 and about 3 yards in from touch. A difficult kick for Clark, but still it's quite a possibility that he could kick this one. 5 minutes of play, no score, but quite a sensational start.
Sensational start, and Johnny Brown will now have to settle his side down against this reversal of the decision there. He'll most certainly have to settle them down. It's so important, these opening minutes, and this decision could well have upset his side.
Now Clark attempting to put the first points of the 1970 Premiership on the board. Valley versus Norths. Norm Clark comes in for the kick, and there it goes. It's a good kick from Clark. Looks good. There it is. The flags are up. Valleys have opened the scoring, and Valleys lead Norths by 2 points to 0. Play has been in progress for 6 minutes in the first half. A very good kick. And Lober Geiger sets it on the halfway mark. Lober Geiger kicks out towards the terraced side, and it's Clark over Clark's head, and it goes dead. Over the dead ball line, so Valleys will bring it back to the 25 yards mark. I think Lober Geiger probably tried to do that, Ted.
Yes, I think he certainly did, to try to make Valleys work their way out. They have 4 tackles here and possibly could use the breeze, more than likely on the 4th.
O'Doherty, the hooker, distributes the ball to Crilly, and it's dropped by Mears. Hall dives back to pick up the loose ball, claimed immediately by O'Doherty, but Norths have possession. The Stapleton juggles it. Hooker Wilson feeds it back to Brown, and Kleinhans running onto it. The second row forward. 35 yards out from the line, back to Lober Geiger, who makes a field goal attempt, but didn't get much height. Clark covers it for Valley, and will run it back up over his try line. Brown comes to him, and Johnny Brown underneath him in a copybook tackle. 10 yards out from Valley's line. Abraham runs from dummy half, but tackled immediately by a Norths player. Gill in possession, Valley's lock. Third tackle indicated. Gill to play it back to Abraham, the winger, and it's dropped then by second row Crilly and knocked on. The scrum to pack down. Expensive
error there for Valleys as Crilly dropped that ball, a vital one, about to place the kick downfield. Lober Geiger had it well covered, anticipating it, guarding his touchline just on the halfway line.
An important scrum. It's a Norths ball. Brown caught by Trelfo. Plays it back to Hall, distributes it this time as it comes across the streak, and then to the 5/8 to Lober Geiger. Lober Geiger coming up into the movement now behind that player tackled, and the Norths player is Harrison, who's getting very slowly to his feet to play the ball. Here's Kleinhans to Pute. The centre, Lober Geiger in the dummy half position. Brown, field goal no, it's an up and under from Brown into the goal mouth. Clark under pressure has Massey tried to pull it down. Clark gathers for Valley to save the day, and it's only a yard out. Massey went very close to pulling that one down, but Clark has it for Valley, and now it's Gill. North's heavy men pounding in there, streak the lock forward, very conspicuous in the tackling movements, and now it's a penalty against Johnny Brown trying to tear the ball away. It's a penalty to Valleys. That'll take some of the pressure off their line.
Yes, these are rather expensive errors, and Brown is questioning the decision there, but I felt, Arthur, that on that occasion the penalty went against Brown for a combination of 2 things, not only trying to reef the ball away, but also not allowing the man to get up quickly enough by holding onto him for a time in excess of what was permissible.
Now Harrison is receiving attention. North centre Glenn Harrison, who was very slow getting up to play the ball, a couple of movements back, and it was quite obvious that he felt the effects of a fairly heavy tackle, and Harrison receives attention. He would be a big loss to North. He's a big, strong centre, about 14 stone, formerly a second row forward.
Certainly would, and during the last few minutes we've seen two fights on the field. We didn't see them actually on the screen as the camera was following the sequence of the ball, but over in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen there was a skirmish in which 4 players were involved, 2 of Valley's and 2 of North's. And it was just after that we saw Harrison hurt.
I think he's holding his ribs as he leaves the field. Possibly it could be a rib injury. And Smith kicks for touch on the grandstand side, and he finds touch about 18 yards out from his line. Gives it to O'Doherty. O'Doherty takes the ball to Crilly, and then Crilly back to Perkins, the rugged little second row forward, the non-stop worker for Valleys, and it's on the 25 that Perkins will play it back now. And this time we see Crilly again, the other second row. Back to Richless, kicking down over the halfway mark. Lilly seems to have it covered. It's a great kick from Richless, and it's into touch. A beautiful kick. There's no doubt about Mick Richless. He knows how to kick for the line. As we saw last week, there's the first instance of it today. Valleys lead Norths by 2 points to 0 after just on 10 minutes of play in the first half. Now it's Brown's ball into the scrum. Scrums are 2-all at this stage. Valley ball, Scanlon, Richless, back to Scanlon, out to Smith. North's 5'8" was underneath him, Brian Adams. Abraham to the dummy half position, and Abraham going himself now over the 25. North's defence holding off as they were waiting to see where the ball was going, allowing that right winger to run as it comes back to Trelfo. Trelfo switches to Scanlon. Scanlon is brought down in the tackle over on the grandstand side. Third tackle indicated as Gill runs with it, the lock. Tackler for Norths was Massey, number 10, and that's the fourth tackle, the scrum to pack down.
Midfield ruck defence of Norths was suspect there when Abrahams ran from acting halfback. The middle was tested and the gap was there. It closed quickly though.
North's ball, Brown goes to the blind side, Lobergeiger, the fullback, up into the movement, running towards Richards' wing. Richards tries to steamroll through a player, but underneath him was Scanlon, the 5'8", 35 yards out from the line, and now it's a turn of Streak. Loses the ball in the tackle, it's a Valley ball, and Perkins picks it up very quickly. Tackler for Norths was Wilson. Now Mears, Valley's tall front row prop, Arthur Mears, 35 yards out from North's line. Trelfo plays it back, it's sent back to Ray Smith, a field goal attempt from a long way up. And the piece is there. Yes, it's there. A very good field goal from Ray Smith, and Valleys go to the lead of 4 points to 0 after just on 12 minutes of play in the first half.
Yes, well, 4 points to 0 in a grand final is certainly worthy points, but one must remember that there is a strong breeze blowing from the right-hand side of your screen to the left, and Norths will have this assistance in the second half and will undoubtedly use the breeze to advantage, particularly through the boot of Peter Lobergeiger.
Valleys won the toss and of course elected to run with this northeasterly breeze. Clark up to the 25, and hooker O'Doherty. Now Gill, upended by Wilson. Third tackle, Trelfo kicking it across, the open paddocks, bringing Lobergeiger across as Lilly covers it. North's right winger, Norris comes at him, and with other players, Norris finishes the tackle, or carries out the tackle. And now here's Wilson, a former Valley player, playing with Norths now, the hooker, Bob Wilson. Harrison is leaving the field as Stapleton rips down towards the halfway mark, looking for a Norths replacement as Glenn Harrison seems to be leaving the field behind the goal mouth as it moves across to Brown. Brown to Hall up to the halfway mark, and a heavy tackle, a good tackle that lifted the big fella high. Underneath him was Crilly, and Mears was the other tackle. The fourth tackle, the scrum goes down as Harrison is leaving the field. North centre, John Gordon is coming onto the field now, replacing Harrison. John Gordon in 15 jersey, former Mackay player, John Gordon, who played with Norths last season and had a great season too. And it's a penalty to Norths.
Not retiring to Trolfo, put the ball in, got it out again, but did not retire and made no attempt to do so.
It's bad luck for Norths to lose perhaps their star centre, Glenn Harrison, so early in the game. But I'm sure John Gordon will do a very good job out there. He's an experienced player, and he goes into the centres with Pute. Now North's fine touch inside Valley's territory, inside the 25, as Lilly gives it to John Brown. Brown slipped across the hooker to Hall to Stapleton, but O'Doherty was there waiting for Stapleton and moved into him very quickly. 20 yards out from the line, Massey runs from the dummy half to Peter Hall. North using the big forwards now, and they're going to power drive through there. They're making a lot of ground as Hall plays it back. Wilson tries to pick it up, and in the meantime something happened to Wilson. He was kicked by the Valley player on the ground, I would say, and couldn't pick the ball up. It was Crilly who kicked at him as he'd played the ball.
That's the way I saw it, Arthur, and I've no doubt that the penalty has gone against Valleys, and Norths will receive this, more than likely 2 points, I'd say they would attempt from this position.
Well, they'd have to kick for points there. Don't know how badly hurt Wilson is. Of course, to lose another player at this stage, and particularly a hooker, could almost be a calamity for Norths, but kicked in the leg, receiving attention to his leg, and that's the worst place you can kick a hooker. Valley's leading Norths by 4 points to 0, and Wilson back on his feet again. Rather ironical that he's a former Valley player. Lober Geiger should kick this one. It's not far from centre. It's about 18 yards in. It's about 18 yards in from touch on the terraced side. Brilliant sunshine. Valley's lock, Jeff Gill, is now wearing jersey number 20. Jeff Gill now wearing jersey number 20. John Gordon in 15 for Norths, replacing Harrison. Lober Geiger attempting to put North's first points on the board. And he should just about kick this one as he comes in, and there it goes. It looks good. He's raised the flags. It's 4-2. Not much in this game, but we've seen plenty of incidents so far in the first 15 minutes of play.
Yes, there's certainly been incidents, and I'm sure that there are a number of players out there feeling the results of severe bumps in those first 15 minutes, and I've no doubt the way the game is going, they'll receive a lot more.
I would think that'd be the way it might shape up, Ted, as Clark places it on the halfway mark, and it's Mick Retchless who comes in and puts it pretty well down the centre. Lober Geiger there, so too is Johnny Brown. Allowed to pass the ball to Lilly. A crashing tackle, McCabe over the top for the second tackle as it comes to Hall. And Hall looks as if he might have a big game today. He can play well when he wants to. Look at the punches coming in, and particularly from Mears, I would say that Arthur Mears would be called out. And yes, he's the man being called out. The right arm was working overtime as Peter Hall was going to ground, and it's another penalty to Norths.
Yes, well, it's an expensive error for Valleys as Norths are working their way upfield, finding touch and full play the balls to follow. No doubt their big men are being used to advantage in these opening minutes.
Valley can't afford to give away too many penalties to let Norths gain this advantage as it comes to Brown. Brown to Kleinhans, running off him and strongly. In centre field, 10 yards inside Valley's territory. On to Brown, Brown to Stapleton, and Stapleton running hard and strong, testing the defence of the forwards in the middle. This is North's strength, of course, with these powerful forwards hammering away at the middle. Johnny Brown reversing play then. Here's the hard-running Kleinhans, just about bursting through the centres and fully testing the defence both in the centre and out wide as Massey whips it across to Brown. Brown then to Gordon, the replacement centre. John Gordon in 15 jersey, and that's the fourth tackle.
Yes, well, Norths have made something like 20 yards as a result of those 4 tackles.
Valleys lead Norths 4-2 after 17 minutes of play in the first half. Trelfo, Scanlon, full-back Clark, just about through. Street took him, but here's Scanlon, moving well Scanlon, up to the halfway mark, Massey underneath him. Close to the halfway mark, sent to Perkins. Perkins out wide to Regis, back to Smith in the centres. Smith moving well over the halfway mark, gets his boot in. Lobergeiger racing back, Abraham trailing through. Lobergeiger having half a look behind him as he gathers. O'Doherty gets to Lobergeiger, a long pass to Lilly. And Lilly picked up by Gill, a lot forward and he's knocked the ball on.
Yes,
Gill
lost that ball on the
tackle.
tackle. Tremendous pace this game is being played at. And very little latitude for the man with the ball. The defence is moving in exceptionally fast and killing any promising movements before they develop.
On the 25, Brown's ball into the scrum. It's a North's ball. Brown on the blind side, inside to Lilly, dropped it. A Valley, close to a Valley ball, knocked on, the knock-on ruled, and a player on the ground injured is Johnny Brown, but he's all right again. .35 yards out from North's line. Brown's ball in. Still no tries scored in the match, but 3 goals. North's ball again to Adams. Adams then to Gordon. Wrapped up immediately. Retchless racing in up high. Underneath was Scanlon. They certainly wrapped him up, made no mistake about it, and this is Kleinhans. And running from dummy half goes Lobergeiger. Close to the halfway mark as hooker Wilson distributes to Brown. Brown tries the little kick and was bowled over after he kicked the ball, or just as he kicked it. Brown left on the ground. Another injured player on the ground is Lobergeiger, and the ball is into traps. And what happened there, Ted? I missed that. I was looking back at Lobergeiger.
Well, it looks as though Abraham's just received a backhander and is on the ground now. He's received a nasty one, but the referee had awarded a penalty to Norths for interference, and now the Norths player Richards is being called out. Here's the man who laid Abrahams out on that occasion. Now, this will be interesting. The referee having awarded a penalty.
The penalty was given after Johnny Brown was flattened after he kicked the ball.
And then subsequent to that, we see an incident where a Norths man has been penalised. So it is an interesting situation.
Well, how can you cancel one penalty out against another
right.
of a scrum? But the penalty had already been given to Norths. Johnny Brown was put down pretty heavily after he kicked that short ball over the head. And the penalty was given to Norths, which they'll take now. The crowd don't understand, I don't think, why that penalty was awarded. But the referee was fully aware of what had happened to Brown before that incident, and now Norths take the penalty, and it's inside Valley's 25. So the pressure goes on Valley again with Norths in a strong attacking position. Brown gives it across to Massey this time, and now here's Kleinhans down the middle. 18 yards out. Kleinhans to play it back to Wilson. Wilson then to Hall. Hall decides to go on his own, loses the ball, and it's a Valley ball.
Trelfo, the man in possession.
Valley in possession. Perkins running from dummy half. Norths were standing well up then as it goes to O'Doherty on the blind side. Stapleton races into O'Doherty, and so too did Wilson. Now it's back to second row Crilly, who kicks across on the grandstand side, and it's a neat little kick. It takes play within 12 yards of the halfway mark.
It's an important kick. Stapleton down on the ground, doing up his shoelace at the present time, but an important kick by Crilly. It prevented his opposition from getting the loose head and feeding the scrum.
Valley's lead Norths 4-2, 20 minutes of play in the first half. No tries scored, and very little in the match. Valley ball. Now it's fullback Clark up there and stepping through. Ankle tackle from Kleinhans. North's ball, Gordon in possession. The replacement centre, Massey, distributes it to Stapleton. Plenty of tacklers there, including Mick Retchless was up there as well. 10 yards inside Valley territory. Massey, short pass to Wilson. Wilson lobbed it back towards Pute, who's racing back to pick it up now. And claimed immediately, as over the top came Crilly. North's losing ground then with the ball. Lobergeiger to Brown, the blind side. Eric Lilly, Norris underneath him, bumps away. Back to Brown, handled very well and lobbed right across to Pute. Pute into Retchell, waiting there to wrap him up.
Abrahams coming back onto the field for Valleys. That was a tremendous tackle by Retchless. He positioned himself very well indeed, just outside his opposition, so that he could not possibly get his pass away to three men who were outside of him, then moved in quickly and killed the movement.
Valley ball, Scanlon, back into Clark, who went to ground pretty quickly as John Brown came at him. Now Gill, now Crilly, allowed to pass it back to Scanlon, knocked it on, and there's the whistle for the knock-on, a scrum near the halfway mark.
Yes, and now we are starting to see on both sides one or two players looking at the man coming to them rather than at the ball.
Well, I don't suppose you can blame them for that because the tackles have been pretty hefty, haven't they?
They certainly have.
Valley's leading North's 4-2, 22 minutes of play. Valley ball and caught immediately Trelfo by his opposite number, Johnny Brown. Valley back to Clark. Referee ruling a knock-on by Clark. I didn't think it was, but still.
Yes, I didn't think so, however. He must have been there and seen something we didn't. Quite a wide blind on this occasion. Good 25-yarder.
And another Valley ball, 3 in a row to Valley as Scanlon picks it up. Let's look at the scrums. Favour Valleys by 8-5 at this stage of the game. Retchless, McCabe, Brown underneath. Looked like Brown, it wasn't, it was Streak. Sent back to Retchless, kicking with the breeze, across deep to Lobergeiger. Well taken, Peter Lobergeiger, and up he comes to the 25. Perkins comes to him and gets him with help from O'Doherty. Adams, the 5'8", running from dummy half position, but picked up quickly by Crilly. He does a lot of work, Crilly, and now it's Stapleton. Crilly in there again, one of the tacklers, and he's the man underneath. 3 tackles in a row. Now North's move it, Streak, a little lock forward, and that's the 4th tackle.
North's made something like 8 to 9 yards with the ball in those play the balls.
In North's territory by about 12 yards, and it's a penalty to North's.
Johnny Brown bleeding from the nose now.
Lobergeiger to kick for touch on the grandstand side. And it's a good, long, raking punt kick that takes play 12 yards inside Valley's territory, with the second kick to come. Close on 25 minutes of play in the first half, with Brown to distribute to Hooker Wilson. Now here's Hall, Peter Hall. Tackled by O'Doherty. North sent it to Brown, and here's Kleinhans, kicking over the head Kleinhans and following through, but Retchless has it, Valley skipper. Kleinhans takes him immediately with Adams. Now Perkins from Valley.
It's a nasty bump for both of them, a nasty one.
Massey was over the top, but underneath was appeared to be Wilson. Was. Now Gill, a long pass to Mike Norris on the wing, following through, knocked off, held up by North's winger Lilly as Lobergeiger gathers, and the referee had seen it. Eric Lilly holding up Mike Norris. Good tactics you could get away with.
That's right, he held him by the jersey. Can't blame him for doing it. He was completely beaten by the kick over the top, and although the penalty goes against North's, he's possibly saved a 3-pointer. Man on the ground, Perkins, injured as a result of that clash with the hooker Wilson. Both seemed to clash their heads in the movement prior to the last one we saw.
And Norm Clark will attempt this kick at goal from 30 yards out and about 4 yards in from touch, 4 or 5 yards in from touch on the terraced side. Clark has kicked his only goal attempted so far, and Lobergeiger has also kicked 1 out of 1. Valleys lead North's 4-2. They're important points. 26 minutes of play in the first half, with Norm Clark attempting the kick. And there it goes. It's not a bad attempt either. Under the bar. And it's let roll out by Gordon.
Well, it certainly had direction.
The referee indicating that the North's man touched the ball, apparently.
That's right.
Thought Gordon did not touch it, but apparently it touched his hand. And that makes a difference of 25 yards. Lobergeiger putting it straight down the middle. Down to Clark, right on the halfway mark. Here's Johnny Brown racing through. A field goal attempt from Clark. Lilly covering it. As it going out over the dead ball line, Lilly picks it up. Trelfo comes at him, and so too does Retchless. And Trelfo wraps him up in a good tackle right on the line. Now Norths have got to get it away from their own line. Lobergeiger running like a forward. Perkins trailing him through, and O'Doherty was underneath. Here this time is Massey. Tackler was Perkins. Massey to Hall running onto the ball and using his weight, taking a lot of players to stop Peter Hall. Look at this, players everywhere, and he made about 8 yards.
Fourth tackle, scrum to form, and Valleys both loose head and to feed the scrum. North's defence up, flat with the base now.
Centre field just outside of North's 25. Trelfo's ball in. It's a North's ball. Brown in possession. Plays it back. Massey runs from dummy half. But Valley's defending well. Trelfo, the little half-back, was one of the tacklers in there. Comes to Hall again down the middle. Slipping it away in the pass. Only with Hooker, then Kleinhand's out wide of him. Kleinhand's bouncing out of the tackle. A very strong player up to the halfway mark. This is fully testing the defence. These North's forwards in these short passing bursts. Brown, Stapleton out wide then to second to Pute. And that's the fourth tackle.
Good run by Kleinhands just a while ago. He pushed Mears away. Mears had him covered, but he was able to push him away and make ground. North's forwards certainly testing that middle defence and making ground when they do run onto it.
It could easily take its toll as the game moves on. There's heavy work of the big forwards. Here's Mick Retchless moving it to Scanlon. Scanlon looking towards Smith, but he's held up and breaks away from the tackle then by North's 5'8" Adams and finally stopped 30 yards from the line. Scanlon to play the ball back. Retchless in the dummy half position, sends it to Trelfo. Trelfo to Gill. Gill then to Mears, and Mears plonking, tries to get one out wide, picked up by Kleinhands, and Kleinhands running strongly up to the halfway mark goes Kleinhands. He's covered by Smith, the centre, and Smith puts him down, but what a great run then from Kleinhands. 12 yards inside North's territory. Wilson, the hooker, looking around to pass the ball, but couldn't unload it. Johnny Brown, the skipper of the side, in the dummy half position, gives it then to Streak. Third tackle indicated. Wilson distributes to Brown. Brown inside to Peter Hall, bounces away from Crilly and allowed to pass the ball back to Lobergeiger. Streak. Valley's defence holding good against a very determined attack.
Well, Norths are certainly, although facing the breeze, running into it, making ground with the ball every time they handle it and turn the ball back inside of their big men. They're certainly making their presence felt out there today. But still, the Valley's defence is meeting them, and it will certainly be interesting in the second half.
Penalty to Norths, not in straight. 11 minutes to go before half-time, and Norths have the opportunity now to level the scores at 4-all. Lobergeiger coming up. It's an easy kick for Lobergeiger in that it's in front, although he'll be kicking into this northeasterly breeze.
Well, North's forwards are taking on all the work of this first 40 minutes, and it will be very interesting this second half. I've often wondered whether the big forwards running down the middle are slowed down more than the tacklers who actually tackle them, and I think this is a disputable point, whether the fellow carrying the ball is slowed down or whether it is the tackler.
Lobergeiger has it set. 29 yards out, right in front. And this could make it 4-all in the 1970 grand final. There it goes. And it's there. It's even Stevens after 30 minutes of tough, hard football.
No try scored yet, and no movement that looked like developing into a try. The defence has been so great out here today that before the half break has even been cleared, the defence has claimed it.
Clark down to Brown. Up to the 25, and Mears the tackler with Crilly underneath for a moment. O'Doherty standing there marking the man as Massey gives it to Stapleton. Underneath Stapleton was Perkins, and O'Doherty's in there again with Gill. Peter Hall. Ankle tackle of O'Doherty. Hall to Brown. Brown kicking across for the line. Here's Clark racing across to cover, and Valley fullback has it and then drops the ball, but it went back. No knock on. Clark to run it up. Brown burst away from him as he follows through, and it's in centre field. Valley fullback to play it back to Crilly. Crilly then to Perkins. Perkins to Gill. Klein hands the tackler. Perkins in the dummy half position. It's back to Trelfo, Scanlon, and then Clark. Out to Mike Norris. Defenders there for Norris. Over the top, Massey. Ray Smith, Valley centre, distributes the ball to Clark, kicking across for the line on the terrace side. Lober-Geiger waits for the bounce. Over the 25. Valley ringing Lober-Geiger, putting plenty of pressure on him, realising that he can be a danger player and he can make a lot of ground. Lober-Geiger, but he's not getting much latitude out there today. Gordon is picked up by McCabe. Wilson distributes the ball to Stapleton. Third tackle. Hall. And down goes the big fella. Fourth tackle. Only about 7.5 minutes before half time. North's ball. Adams, the 5'8", Cute. Referee for the match is Ron Ward. Massey. Inside pass to Gordon. Brown. Klein hands. He's the worry player for Valleys, I think. Klein hands, one of the troublesome players as far as they're concerned. Streak, and loses the ball. Abraham in possession for Valley, up to the halfway mark. And Streak comes in for the tackle. Valley ball, Perkins. Massey, one of the tacklers, the first man there underneath. Now Scanlon. Massey again, hurls himself at him. This is Gill, lock forward through the gap, Stapleton trying to pick him up. Here's Lilly, an inside pass to Smith, and Lober-Geiger bounces away from him for a moment, but then gets to him with Gordon racing in the centre, hurt his head. But it's play on. Valley's chance now. Onto the second row of Trilly, out wide to Scanlon, wrapped up completely by Johnny Brown racing in.
And good defence by North there. The line formed very quickly and moved in to cut off that attacking movement that looked most promising on the part of Valleys.
Ray Smith, the injured Valley player, injured in the tackle as he seemed to bump heads with North centre John Gordon.
That was a good run by Jeff Gill. He had to accelerate through the gap as the defence just held off that fraction of a second, and when he looked inside for his support, it was Ray Smith, the man on the ground at the moment, who was backing him up. But Ray Smith was fronted by, I think it was Lober-Geiger who was straight ahead of him.
Lober-Geiger, and then Gordon came in.
And Gordon came across.
Looking at the scrums favour Valleys by 9-7. The penalties favour Norths 5-3. The score, 4-all in earlier matches played today. The C grade, Valleys defeated Redcliffe 18-5, scoring 4 tries to 1. Valleys are coached by Carl Dank. In the reserve grade, East defeated Norths 13 points to 5, and East are coached by Len Conroy. On North's 25. Brown's ball into the scrum, and North's ball as it comes to Adams, the 5'8". Pute in the dummy half position, gives the ball to Brown. Brown to Stapleton. Stapleton plonked it back to Brown again, and now Pute. Wilson, Brown, and Streak. Third tackle, Hall. Lober-Geiger, is it? No, it's the another player up there. A bit hard to see who it was for a moment. But it was
young Adams.
Adams. Fourth tackle, the scrum 35 yards out from North's line. Only 5 minutes before half-time. Valley ball, Scanlon, Rechless, inside pass to Ray Smith. Smith looking to his winger, Norris, but a second tackle from North's over the top. Massey making sure that he didn't pass the ball as he came swarming across the top. Norris gives it to Gill, and tackler is Adams with Lilly. Scanlon. And now Telfo. Massey again, crunch. Massey's making Valleys feel those tackles as he's coming in hard. and Trelfo will play the ball back to Retchless. The field goal attempt from Mick Retchless is not a bad attempt. Is it there? Yes, it's there. A good kick from Mick Retchless, and Valleys have hit the front again to lead Norths by 6 points to 4. Valley 6, Norths 4. Still no tries in the match as Norths bring it back to the halfway mark.
Well, quick thinking on the part of Retchless, but he must realise now, as he has done, that he needs these points because Northern Suburbs will be having the assistance of this breeze in the second half and will undoubtedly use the boot of Lobergeiger to get them out of trouble and also to notch up 2 pointers.
And it's Lobergeiger who kicks across on the terraced side to Norris. The referee knock on.
Well, there's a lot of yardage lost there to Valleys, as Norths must feel extremely happy with that drop ball by Norris.
It's only 10 yards out from the line, an expensive mistake. Trelfo's ball in. Valley badly want this ball. North's ball. Brown dived on it. Across to Klein Hands. Valley watching him. Here's Street juggling it. And it's a Valley ball. Perkins. Scanlon. Swarming in comes Massey. As
offside. Yes, I think
the Valleys.
Yes, I think the rule says something about 5 yards.
Yes, he'd hardly made the 5 yards. About 3 minutes before half-time, Valley lead North 6-4, and Ray Smith, the centre, will kick for touch on the terraced side.
Well, a lost opportunity to Norths there, pressing with 4 tackles to go and losing the ball. A vital error.
10 yards short of the halfway mark, O'Doherty to distribute the ball to Trelfo, Scanlon across field, but a good ankle tackle then from Streak. Perkins, running well Perkins, there's Streak underneath him again. Another player in there, Pute, the centre, for assistance. Abraham sends it to Trelfo, Retchless, Scanlon outside of him. It's behind Smith, a bad pass and very nearly an expensive one for Valleys, as there were 2 Norths players could have snapped it up. Massey, one of the tacklers, in with Gordon. Pass back to Retchless. Retchless is kicking using the breeze as he kicks across, but it goes more downfield. Lobergeiger running back to his own try line to pick it up. And up comes Peter Lobergeiger. O'Doherty's there with him and he dummies towards his winger. Gets it away this time. Well done, Lobergeiger. As Lilly bounces along the touchline, he beats Gill's tackle over the halfway mark. Paul Wright running strongly and loses the ball in the tackle. And now Norths keep pushing it downfield as Valley gather it. And as the advantage rule applies, McCabe, Valley's front row forward, has possession. Clark runs from the dummy half position and gains a lot of ground, the fullback Clark, within 10 yards of the halfway mark. In seesawing football, first Norths, then Valley, as it swung back across to Crilly. Crilly tries that little kick, but Pute underneath it, bowled over as Crilly came through, and Wilson seemed to be the player who took a bump as well. It's hard football, and now Gill has possession for Valley. He'll play it back to Trelfo, Scanlon, Retchless outside of him, playing well, Valley. Smith is tackled on the halfway mark. Underneath him, Gordon, and there's a bit of a punch-on going between Massey and Peter Hall, but they stop the fight pretty quickly and get on. Norris nearly into touch, but not quite. Inches from the try line, or from the sideline, but not into touch. Onto Trelfo. Trelfo kicking over the heads of Norths and worrying Norths now. Look at Trelfo racing through, pulled down by Streak, and well done. Good play, Valley. Upsetting Norths now at this stage of the game as Norths swing it across to Johnny Brown, trying to rally his sides. Kleinhans didn't expect that, but he got it as he runs across, picked up by the hooker O'Doherty. On the 25, Stapleton. McCabe flying in to put Stapleton to ground. This big, strong 19-year-old front row forward for Valley. The third tackle indicator, and here's Hall trying to push away from Crilly. One-handed pass back to Wilson, and it's lobbed back, gathered by O'Doherty. The Valley hooker appears to have the ball, and it's a Valley ball, but the referee ruling a knock-on, and the half-time hooter has sounded, and that's the score at half-time in a hard, tough first half. Valleys lead Norths by 6 points to 4. The scrums favour Valleys 10-9. The penalties favour Norths 5-4. Everything in readiness for the start of the second half. North's running with the assistance of this very strong northeasterly breeze in the second half. Valley's defending the southern end. Valley's lead 6-4. A change in Valley's side. Leon Maguire comes on in place of Crilly, and this is Kleinhans. Leon Maguire replacing Crilly, wearing number 14 jersey. Jim Adams replaces Streak in the lock forward position, and Lober-Geiger knocked it on. Jim Adams, number 14 for Norths, replaces Ron Streak in the lock forward position. 35 yards out from North's line. Brown's ball into the scrum. In again. That's Maguire, number 14, going into the second row. North's ball. Lober-Geiger kicking with the breeze, already taking advantage of the strong northeasterly, and it's a glorious kick from Lober-Geiger, right downfield, down to Valley's 25.
Well, this puts Norths on the attack right from the opening minute of the second half.
I think we can expect to see Norths fully exploit this breeze, and they certainly didn't waste any time about it by getting it straight back to Lober-Geiger. On Valley's 25. In again, referee for the match, Ron Ward. Valley ball, and Gill. Penalty to Norths.
Yes, against the halfbacks, Trolfo.
And Lober-Geiger being called up, so he has the opportunity now of levelling the scores, kicking across the northeasterly breeze.
Well, it seems pretty obvious that Norths are going to endeavour to live in Valley's half, and Valleys will have to make doubly certain that they do not make any errors, because any penalty within this distance and this breeze, Norths are certainly going to peg back those 2 points without any difficulty at all.
I imagine that Norths will be looking for field goals, as Valleys did too in the first half.
Yes, they have two good field goal exponents there in Peter Lober-Geiger, who can be used very quickly, and also for the close-in ones, Johnny Brown, the halfback, who positions himself very close to the base of the ruck.
Lober-Geiger attempting to make it 3 out of 3 and level the scores at 6-all, 2 minutes of play in the second half, as Peter Lober-Geiger comes in for the kick. It's a pretty good attempt. It's there. It's 6-all. Even Stevens. Still no tries scored in the match. Lober-Geiger has kicked 3 out of 3.
Yes, it's when this first try is scored that I think we'll see the game really open up. Until now, no try scored. The game's been very tight.
Clark kicks deep to Lober-Geiger, 10 yards out from North's line. And Lober-Geiger uses the breeze again. There goes the kick. Well downfield, a bit closer to centre field than the anticipated. Norris, Valley's left winger, run it up. 35, 38 yards out from the line. Retchless in the dummy half position. Here's Perkins being trailed through by Stapleton. Knocks one of his own players out of the way. It was Pute. But Valleys have moved up to the half, close to the halfway mark. And here's ball racing through when Adams to bowl Maguire over. Did you see that? And Adams lost the ball. He actually hurled himself. And Norths have gained possession with Hall now, finding the gap down the middle. Maguire goes over the top. He said, I'm going to have my piece of Norths too. And Hall will play it back. Brown then to his 5'8", Adams, and here's Pute. Loses the ball. North lucky to retain possession as Retchless fights for the knock-on ruled. Well, Jimmy Adams just on the field replacing Streak, certainly burst into Maguire, Ted.
Yes, he jumped straight at him, no hesitation, made his mark and jumped straight at him, made him lose the ball in the tackle.
Valley's ball, Scanlon. Clark into the movement, Retchless outside of him, Clark moving well, and a North's player there. It was Adams calling for the ball, very nearly passed to him. Must have been close to a knock-on, but Gill has the ball for Valley, and the referee says play on as it comes to O'Doherty. O'Doherty making ground down the middle, 10 yards inside North's territory. In centre field as Trolfo sends it out wide to Scanlon. Third tackle. Maguire, Trolfo. Now there's Mears to Retchless. Back to Smith, knocked it on. Knocked on Smith. A scrum to pack down in front of the grandstand. The score 6-all. Play in progress just on 5 minutes in the second half.
Still no try scored in this match.
Brown's ball in. A Valley ball again to Scanlon. Rechless. Smith, an inside pass, and there goes Ray Smith, being picked up by players. Nearly a North's ball. Rechless dived on it to retain possession for Valleys, although it's a North player who finished with it, was Richards. Surprised me. I thought that Norths had lost the ball then, but it comes on to Klein hands. Running across to Paddock, and here's McCabe flying across just as he got his pass to Lilly. And Lilly's bowled over too. And look at these two players, Klein hands and McCabe. McCabe is keen to go on with the business, but meantime Norths move the ball on and continue the play with Johnny Brown caught in centre field. Players have got to learn to continue with the play. They can cost them their side a try. Here's Massey. Norths are experienced in the hard play, and I'm sure this young Valley player might have been pulled into that one, but better to keep on playing football. On to Lobergeiger, kicking downfield now. There's plenty of sting in this match now as Lobergeiger kicks over Clark's head. Clark down towards the try line. Brown comes at him, North skipper, but he's too fast as he moves away from him. Well done, Clark, as he runs up 10 yards short of the halfway mark. Hall the tackler. Well, it's on in a gripping start to the second half. Scanlon trying to get it off the ground. He does so too to Maguire. Beautifully picked up off his toes and loses the ball. And now it's a deliberate trip from Valley's hooker O'Doherty of Klein hands. But how North didn't get a penalty then, I'll never know. It was a deliberate trip. On it comes to Stapleton, and Stapleton is tackled over the halfway mark. The fires on both sides are ready to explode as it comes on to Adams, and Adams has dropped it, and the knock on, the scrum will pack down. Well, there's some fire in here, Chris.
Well, the players certainly opened up, and as you said, Arthur, there was a deliberate trip out there. It's not a pretty thing to see. This is the way that legs are broken. Not good at all.
In centre field, Brown's ball into the scrum. It's 6-all, 7 minutes of play in the second half. Rally ball again to Scanlon. Scanlon to Rechless. Well picked up off his toes. Here's the fullback Clark into the movement. Bursting away from one tackle. It's lobbed back to Scanlon. Scanlon shoved back to Rechless. Rechless to long pass to McCabe, the front row forward. McCabe is caught by North's hooker. Now it's tossed to Ray Smith in the centres. Smith following through the kick. Lobergeiger underneath it. And it's a North ball. Smith comes to Lobergeiger. Beats him. Beats Abraham. And away goes Lobergeiger up to the halfway mark. A good piece of football from Lobergeiger. Richards, the heavyweight winger, sends it to Brown. Brown then to Adams, to Klein hands then to Puke. Puke out wide then to Gordon, running strongly, lovely football North, but then knocked down by Lilly at a critical moment, just as Norths were swinging it right across the field.
Well, the game has really opened up as both sides are trying to sense the try. First is Valleys and then it's North. North's on the attack then, but the vital pass went astray. Not a good pass as well as not a good take. The pass was at the man rather than ahead of him.
10 yards inside Valley's territory. Another Valley ball. They've won the last 4 in a row as it comes to Scanlon. Scanlon to Rechless, to Scanlon again to Smith. Dropped it. North try to pick it up as it's a loose ball on the ground. Plenty of North's players to pick up the loose ball, and it's the 5'8" Adams to play it back. Adams, hooker, Jimmy Adams, the replacement lock forward, replacing Streak, who will play it back. And now comes to Massey. Massey to Stapleton. Stapleton up the middle. There's a gap almost, but Perkins pulls him down. Massey swinging it across to Brown. Brown tries that kick for the line. It's a good kick from Brown. Look at that little rubber kick. It's a beauty. 15 yards, 12 yards out from Valley's line.
Well, there must be a try coming up shortly. One can sense it. The players so open now. The ball being given air by both teams. A try must come. The defences certainly cannot hold out against this type of football.
Valleys have won 5 scrums to 1 in the second half. So they've certainly had plenty of ball. And it's another Valley ball as it comes to Clark on the blind side, the fullback, caught immediately by Jim Adams. 6 scrums to 1, second half. Abraham plays it back to Perkins as Massey dives and nearly missed. O'Doherty distributes the ball to Gill, and it's a penalty. Valley, offside North, standing well up North, inside the 5 yards.
Well, Valleys now have the opportunity of working their way out of their 25 by finding touch and taking 4 consecutive play the balls, but it will be interesting to see whether they can retain possession once they find touch and follow on with the tap.
And it's Smith to kick for touch on the terrace side. And there it is. Finds touch midway between the 25 and the halfway mark. Well, the pressure's really on in this game now.
Yes, it certainly is. These jarring tackles are bolting the ball from the ball carrier's hands.
It's given to McCabe. Massey underneath and Stapleton over the top. Perkins distributes the ball to Trelfo, to Scanlon, Scanlon to Clark, and it's a loose ball picked up by Smith. Could have been very dangerous, that one, for Valleys at this stage of the game.
Valleys lost 15 yards in that movement.
Retchless sends it to Norris, coming in from the left wing. Klein hands over the top and wrestles him to the ground. He's lost the ball, Norris. Picked up O'Doherty and gathered by Gordon. North's number 15, replacing Harrison in the first half. Now it's Gill. Sends the pass to Maguire, running strongly. And a good tackle underneath from Adams, put him to ground. Was it Gordon? It was Gordon across there. The fourth tackle.
Maguire being used to be running off the man who beats the first tackler. The first tackler steps inside, usually stands in his tackle and feeds Maguire. Times his run well. Worrying Norths at the moment, Maguire's big runs.
In centre field, a North's ball at long last. They've won a ball from the scrum as it comes out to Pute. Pute moving across towards winger Richards, but he's tackled by Abraham. Richards, dummy half, Lober Geiger then to Jimmy Adams, the replacement lock. It's a hard, tough game. Someone must crack shortly the way things are going. And here's Klein hands in a hard, strong run and loses the ball, jerked out of his arms, picked up by McCabe, Valley's prop, and he's quickly claimed. 20 yards out from the line. O'Doherty in the dummy half position for Valley, sends it to Mike Norris coming in from the left wing. Tackled by Wilson. Perkins, a dummy half, and now Gill. A lot of loose ball in this match, in this half, with hard jolting tackles. Third tackle indicated. It's sent back then to Trelfo, to Scanlon. Scanlon running on the grandstand side. Inside passes dropped by Mears. And it's a penalty to Norths, offside. The Valley player O'Doherty who picked it up.
Well, now the Norths will undoubtedly find touch and take the 4 consecutive play the balls. The players are feeling the strain now. One or two of them getting back to their positions very slowly. Klein hands in particular down there on one knee. Took a nasty bump just a moment ago as he ran towards the grandstand side of the field. Running well in this game, but receiving a lot of attention as he is recognised as one of the danger runners of the North's pack.
Lober Geiger, it seems, is going to kick for goal. He's kicked 3 out of 3, and this one midway between the 25 and the halfway mark, not so very far from centre field, but still partly across this northeasterly breeze blowing across the ground. North 6-all. This would give Norths the lead for the second time in the match. They didn't open the scoring. Valleys opened the scoring and would give Norths the lead for the first time in the match. At half-time, Valleys led Norths by 6 points to 4. 12 minutes of play into the second half. Cloudy conditions now as the sun is covered. Lober Geiger attempting to kick this one midway between the 25 and the halfway mark. It's a fairly long kick, but in comes Lober Geiger for the kick, and there it goes. And will it raise the flags? No, it's still 6-all. The roar from this big crowd of 30,000 as the teams are locked in a draw at 6-all at this stage of the match.
The referee is declaring that it must be a dropout.
And Ray Smith will drop out towards the grandstand side of the field. The Norths run the ball up. Jimmy Adams, 10 yards inside Valley territory. Peter Hall in the dummy half position to Massey, stepping. Plenty of tacklers there. O'Doherty's one of the tacklers, and underneath was Maguire. Norths moving, gained quite a bit of ground though on that occasion, just the same as 5'8" Adam, caught in a high tackle by Scanlon, but held the ball. Third tackle indicated. John Brown looked around, sent it back to Lober Geiger. Lober Geiger props as Perkins came at him, sends it back to Adams. North's a bit uncertain. Racing in goes O'Doherty to break up the movement. Good play then.
Yes, I think Lober Geiger intended to take a shot at goal, even though it was a 55-yard effort. He's done this before. I've actually seen him plonk one over from 60 yards with a trailing breeze, and what a beauty that was.
Trelfo's ball into the scrum. North's ball, and lost it again. Picked up by Gill for Valley. Each one tackle. The lock got to him. Rather Stapleton. Was it Stapleton? No, he looked a bit like him for a moment. It was Jimmy Adams, the lock all the time. Over the top comes Adams this time as Valley's second row Perkins picks it up. It's 30 yards out from North line. Valley in a scoring position now as it's ripped across then to Retchless inside to Scanlon. Scanlon tries to come down the middle and broke out of the tackle by Stapleton. Loose ball, a North's ball, as Jim Adams, the lock, will play it back. Now Stapleton, or is it the, yes, it's hard to see who it was for a moment. It appeared to be Stapleton then running onto it. Now it's back to Lobergeiger, deflected off a player, bounced back, Gill almost gathered by Trelfo this time. And it's a penalty, Valley.
Yes,
against North.
Johnny Brown was the man being penalised.
North's halfback brought his right up arm underneath. After 15 minutes of play in the second half, Smith is going to kick for touch. And it's a good kick from Smith. A finds touch deep inside North's territory, only 15 yards out from the line, so Valley have their chance now as O'Doherty has the ball. He's got Perkins outside of him, Maguire behind him, Perkins to O'Doherty, and bursting through comes Gill, and plenty of defenders there for him, but he's only 12 yards out from the line. Gill, lock forward to play it back, O'Doherty to Trelfo, out wide to Scanlon, Scanlon then to Mears, racing through the big fella, but 2 or 3 defenders in there, including Peter Hall for the tackle. Now Scanlon whips it on to Trelfo. Trelfo tries to find the gap and very nearly through with Stapleton, one of the tacklers. Valley, the pressure right on North. Now the field goal attempt from Smith is very close. It's there. The field goal attempt from Ray Smith. And Valleys have hit the lead again. Valleys leading North by 8 points to 6. Well, what a match this is.
Yes, and still no tries scored in this game. The 4th tackle was there. It went to Ray Smith, as we saw. And he very coolly kicked that ball for the 2-pointer. A cool player indeed, his first season in rugby league. First grade, that is.
17 minutes of play in the second half, 23 minutes remaining in the grand final, and Valleys lead Norths by 8 points to 6 as Lobergeiger puts it straight down the middle between the goal posts and over the dead ball line, and that was the idea, no doubt. So Valleys will bring it back to the 25 yards mark for the dropout. Well, I don't know how the players are feeling, Ted, but it's been hard, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and I'm sure the crowd here are enjoying every second of this game. It's most exciting.
Valley, second row, Perkins. O'Doherty in the dummy half position. Here's Maguire running off him, but couldn't gain much ground. Hall in quickly for the tackle then, as it's sent back to Scanlon. Scanlon to Clark, up into the movement, and then Retchless. Retchless inside to Abraham. Abraham covered but gets his kick in. Lobergeiger waiting for it. Abraham flying through, and Peter Lobergeiger picked up by Scanlon and very nearly passed it to Abraham, who probably called for the ball then, and here comes Kleinhans up to the halfway mark. The tackler is Trelfo, not quite into touch, but very close. Brown in the dummy half position. Ian Massey, dropped by Massey, and it's a Valley ball with Perkins, the second rower, in possession. Massey doesn't make many mistakes, but that was one of them as it comes on to Scanlon. Scanlon to Gill, and Gill picked up by Adams. North's 5'8", in centre field. Just inside Valley's territory. Clark runs from dummy half, the fullback. O'Doherty dropped it, and it's a knock-on. A scrum to pack down. Let's have a look at the scrums. The scrums favour Valleys by 16 to 11. And the penalties favour Norths 7 to 6. 16 to 11, the scrums favour Valley. So they've won 6 scrums to 2 in the second half. That's North's third scrum as Brown dummies and goes on his own and sees the gap almost through, but trailed through by Mears. Brown, clever footballer, as it comes to Jimmy Adams, the lock. 2 Adams brothers out there today, the 5'8" and the lock. And the knock-on ruled by Stapleton.
Unfortunate for North, they're looking very good there when Johnny Brown made that break from the base of the scrum after throwing a dummy pass. Stapleton moved extremely well, and North's looked dangerous. They had Valleys backpedaling.
Telfo's ball in. It's a Valley ball. Brown the tackler. And Telfo, or rather Scanlon, runs from dummy half. Massey in quickly. Perkins to Maguire out wide. Underneath Maguire comes Kleinhans. Third tackle. Perkins distributes the ball to Trelfo, to Retchless, and Retchless kicking downfield, kicking to Lobergeiger. Lobergeiger's going to return the kick using the breeze. It's a long raking punt kick to Clark, right underneath him. up to the 25. He's ringed by North's players and just pulled down. Very nearly got away from Wilson and Brown, but Brown caught him by the jersey. Valley, Scanlon gives it to McCabe. McCabe running on the blind side, runs into 2 or 3 tacklers. It's hard to make progress. Now Perkins slipped it away to Gill. Third tackle. 20 minutes remaining. Valley's leading 8-6 as it comes back now to Trelfo. Trelfo then out to Retchless. And Retchless breaks the line. It breaks away from the tackle by Adams. Over the halfway mark goes Retchless, kicking downfield. Here's Valley's chance. But look at Richards racing back with Lilly. Lilly picks up the ball and forces it over the line, which is the only thing he could do.
Certainly the only thing he could do, and now the defences, the pace of the game has told on the defences, where we saw Mick Retchless step not only through the first time to defence, but also the cover defence. There just wasn't any. And obviously the pace is telling to such a degree that the cover defence is now starting to hold back and making way for those fellows that are the fittest.
Now Lober Geiger drops out to on the grandstand side. It's well down in centre field. At the halfway mark, Clark waits for it. Valley's fullback. Lober Geiger, Klein hands came up with Adams rather, and now he's pulled down short of the 25. Jim Adams slow getting to his feet to lock forward, racing back to North, only on in the second half in the way of Perkins, and Perkins is caught, and now Adams drops back to his position. Trelfo running from the dummy half. North's defence showing some breaks there now as Valley's third tackle indicated. Play it back. Perkins lobs a pass across the end of the 5-8 over the shoulders of Smiths, picks it up this time. And Brian Adams comes to him, but he tries to get his field goal attempt in, gets the kick in, but it's well away. North centre, John Gordon, number 15. Runs strongly now, pushes away, or tries to push away. A high tackle from Abraham. Puts him to ground, a very effective tackle. Richards, the winger, now deciding he's going to have his piece. We haven't seen anything of Richards so far in this match, but that's the first occasion, I'd say, as it comes on to Klein hands, running strongly, and Valley's defenders still doing the job well as Norths play it back onto Stapleton. Stapleton trying hard. They're swarming into Norths, moving up on them quickly, not giving them much chance to make many breaks. A scrum to pack down 30 yards out from North's line, with Valley's leading by 2 points, 8-6, with 18 minutes of play remaining. Trelfo's ball in. In again, said the referee, Ron Ward.
Well, the way the game is going, it would appear that he who scores the first try will win the game, if any are going to be scored.
At Lang Park tomorrow, South Queensland Colts play Cronulla Sutherland from Sydney. It's here at Lang Park tomorrow, South Queensland Colts play Cronulla Sutherland, and it's a North ball with the 5-8 sending it out to Lilly, and Lilly closely checked with assistance coming from Ross Trelfo, the halfback. But it's close to the halfway mark. Johnny Brown looking towards Massey, back inside, Massey up towards the halfway mark, trying to get his pass away to Stapleton, but the ball was jerked out of his hands on the ground. It must be a penalty to North. O'Doherty taking it off the player on the ground, and it's a penalty to North, which will be, no doubt, gratefully received by them.
I should imagine that Peter Lober Geiger will find touch here. Yes.
Lober Geiger kicking for touch on the grandstand side, and it takes play down to Valley's 25, where Norths will have the second kick. So now Norths again have their chance to press on Valley's line. Brown gives it to hooker Wilson, to Hall, back to Brown again, and here's Stapleton steaming down the middle. 20 yards out from the line, right in front of the post. Will it be a field goal attempt from Norths here, or will it? Johnny Brown switches it back into Peter Hall. Hall tries to push away from Perkins, who holds to him, the number 10 for Valley. North sending it back this time, as it was a bad pass, went back and knocked on by Adams. Couldn't blame the 5-8. It wasn't a good pass back.
It was a shocking pass, the type that I'm sure Norths do not want to see at this stage of the game.
I thought they were setting themselves there to take the field goal attempt, because it was certainly an ideal position.
And Lober Geiger was up waiting for it.
It's a Valley ball from the scrum, shot out wide to Retchless in the centres. Retchless standing in the tackle as Brown comes to him, lifting him up now. And Johnny Brown holding him up by 1 foot. Smith, the centre, tackled. On it comes to Gill. Gill to Scanlon. Scanlon down on 35 yards out midline, Massey the tackler. And now it's McCabe. Massey, one of the tacklers again, dived across to get him by the ankle. Hall was there also. Gill distributes the ball back, plonks it back to Mick Retchless. Retchless onto the fullback Clark. Smith, I should say. Smith across inside to Abraham. Abraham tries to make a breakthrough on the inside, but couldn't do so. Scrum to pack down. Scrums favour Valleys by 18 to 13. This scrum is midway between Valleys 25 and the halfway mark. 15 minutes of play remaining in the 1970 Rugby League Grand Final before a crowd of 30,000 at Lang Park, and North's ball out to Adams. Adams to Gordon in the centres. Gordon doesn't quite know where to go then, as Valley's defence had moved up very quickly. Now Wilson, the hooker, sends it to Brown. Brown to Kleinhans, standing out wide. Kleinhans tries to push through a tackle by Ross Trelfo, but he clings to him and puts him down on the 25. Now to Brown, North's skipper. Adams, the 5'8", fullback Lober Geiger, and here's Adams, Jimmy Adams. Tackle by Scanlon. Third tackle indicated. North send it back. It's back to Lober Geiger. The field goal attempt from Lober Geiger, and there it goes. Was it away? It's there. It's there. It's 8-all. 14 minutes of play remaining, and it's 8-all. Well, North had to take those points in.
They certainly did, and an excellent kick by Peter Lober Geiger. He was under pressure. He didn't have all the time in the world in which to size up the situation. He obviously called for it, set himself and plonked it over, no hesitation.
Now Clark kicks deep down into North's territory. Eric Lilly, the winger, covers it. And it's Lilly to run it up as Smith comes to him, but he runs away from Smith, and inside, Lilly up to the halfway mark, over the halfway mark, and finally scored by Mears. Well, Valley's defence certainly held off then, let Eric Lilly run, and North got the chance again onto Massey. Massey to Stapleton. Stapleton running hard, a high tackle from McCabe around the top of the ears, but put him to ground anyway, as Wilson sends the pass on to Brown. North's in full flight onto Hall. Hall trying to surge his way through, but the defence was too good. Mears was in there. Back to Lober Geiger, another field goal attempt, and there it goes, but it appears to be well away to the right of the post, and it is, but the pressure is now on. Right on.
Certainly on. It was O'Doherty who wrapped Lober Geiger up just as he was setting himself for that ball, and he certainly shook him up there. See him getting up slowly, rubbing his head as he received that elbow from O'Doherty as he moved in quickly.
So, O'Doherty takes the kick from the 25 to Perkins, and Perkins is tackled. Been a hard, tough grand final, but what a grand battle it's been. Leon Maguire not allowed to move much. Hall, one of the tacklers, in there, and Henry Albert is on the field again. The touch judge has moved in to indicate that a right arm was brought up in the tackle. Stapleton being indicated, North's front row forward, as Albert retires to the sideline, and it's a penalty to Valleys. It's 8-all, 12 minutes of play remaining. Ray Smith to kick for touch in front of the grandstand. And it finds touch very close to the halfway mark, only about 3 or 4 yards from halfway. Mike Norris gives the ball to hooker O'Doherty. O'Doherty then to Trelfo, Scanlon, Retchless. A move on, but Brown was in very quickly to Retchless to stop him. Trelfo gives it to Scanlon, well handled, then the full back and out to Norris. Norris trying the little kick and following through as Adams runs across to take it, but couldn't stop himself running into touch, the lock forward. And it's a scrum 10 yards inside North's territory.
Good cover on the part of Adams. He covered that kick well, coming from midfield right across the grandstand side of the field to cover the kick by Norris. Good positional play.
In it goes. Moves across to Scanlon. Scanlon to Retchless. Retchless to fullback Clark. Clark running strongly. Here's Valley's chance now. It's whipped across to Abraham. Abraham back to Smith. And Smith rolls it along the ground to Trelfo. Play on to the referee. And the referee's knocked over. Referee's in the game. That's the way this game's going. Gill sends it on to Perkins. Perkins to Scanlon to Retchless. Retchless looking round for support now as he bounces away. Mick Retchless running strongly. Here's Valley's chance, and Retchless is down only 8 yards out from the corner. Very nearly the first try of the match as O'Doherty tries to force his way through, but it's a North ball. Massey jumps high and pushes it into touch to kill the movement. And meantime, Abraham is injured out on the sideline, over on the terrace side of the field. The referee hasn't seen it. He sees it now. He'll hold up play, I imagine, but no, the player's off the ground. Actually off the ground, so it's play on with Abraham to receive some attention. And another player injured. It's Retchless, who was injured in the tackle as he tried to force his way through on the corner. Mick Retchless, the Valley skipper, is injured. What a hard, tough final this one has been. The last grand final, scoreless grand final, I can remember, was when Norths played Brothers here about 3 years ago in 1957, I think it was, when Brothers beat Norths by 6 points to 2 in a trialist grand final. In 1967, Brothers defeated Norths 6 points to 2, and they were all goal kicks. It's 8-all, 11 minutes of play remaining. Abraham trying to get back on the field, and he will too, I think. Retchless still receiving attention. Of course, if it's still 8-all at full time, it's going to be 10 minutes each way extra, and we could be playing very late into the night.
I think that was a bit of clever work on the part of Retchless, waiting until Abrahams was ready.
Yes, he mightn't have been quite as bad as that, but it's a North's ball as Lobergeiger makes the run, the fullback, and burst out of a tackle by Retchless, but well marked by Maguire. And now Massey takes it, North's second row forward, trying to charge away from O'Doherty, loses the ball, Massey, as he tries to fight away, but the referee indicating robbing the ball. They won't have that this year, the referees, and it's a penalty to Norths. Lobergeiger will kick with the breeze over on the grandstand side.
Well, this will give Peter Lobergeiger the opportunity of gaining valuable ground for Norths and getting out of trouble in their own 25, with the possibility of 4 play the balls to follow, taking his time.
Lobergeiger kicking on the grandstand side, and as usual finds touch on the full. A very good kick right over the halfway mark by about 3 or 4 yards. Norths to take the second kick, handed to skipper Johnny Brown. Hooker Wilson is up there ready to take the first one, and then it comes back to Massey trying to step through, but couldn't pass it. O'Doherty in for the tackler. He does a lot of work, O'Doherty, doesn't he? Perkins is in there as well. Now it comes to Stapleton to Kleinhans, and Kleinhans 10 yards inside Valley's territory. Norths playing it back. Hooker Wilson sends it on to Brown. Brown to Hall out wide now as he tries to bullet through Mears, but Mears hulls to him, and in comes Trelfo. Valley's tackling like demons. Back comes to Brown. Brown then to 5'8" Adams. Mick Retchless comes in to wrap him up pretty quickly and said there'll be enough of that, and that's the 4th tackle.
The positional play of Mick Retchless in defence is very good, as time and time again we've seen the inside men of Norths in possession of the ball, wrapped up by the centre as he positions himself so that they cannot pass the ball to their supports outside of the defender.
And it goes. It's a Valley ball picked up by Gill, but the knock-on ruled. 8 minutes of play remaining in the grand final, and it's 8 points all. Trelfo's ball in. North's ball onto Adams, 5'8", into John Gordon in the centres, kicking downfield over Clark's head. North's following through. Adams racing, rather, the centre, Gordon racing through. Clark steps away from him, and a good tackle from Kiff. O'Doherty to Maguire, and Hall takes him front on but bounces away from him. Massey comes in for the tackle. Back to Trelfo. Trelfo then to Gill. Gill tackled by Jimmy Adams. Third tackle. O'Doherty distributes the ball across then to support the penalty. It was the Perkins sent it across to O'Doherty. It's a penalty against North, standing up offside, and Valley's centre Ray Smith will kick for touch on the grandstand side. A nice little kick too. Takes play into North's territory by a couple of yards.
And now the players seesawed back into North's half, and Valleys have the opportunity of attacking with 4 play the balls. Let's see what they can do.
It's given to Perkins. Perkins to Gill. Gill holding it up and bursting through McCabe. 10 yards inside North's territory. Norths beat Valleys 14-2 last year in the grand final, but it's a different story today. It's a hard game to win. On to Gill, and Gill hit very hard as it looked as if it was probably Adams racing through for the tackle. Whipped onto Trelfo. Trelfo out wide to fullback Clark. Clark allowed to pass the ball back to Trelfo, caught by Stapleton and Adams. Maguire sending it to his half-back and then to cross, switch on to play Ray Smith. The fourth tackle.
A man who's injured out there at the moment is number 10, Ian Massey of Norths. He's done a tremendous amount of work today,
and
particularly in defence.
Johnny Brown's taking the opportunity to have a bit of a rest and back on his feet again. Ian Massey suffered a knee injury a few weeks ago and was suspect for some time, but it's not the knee this time. He's very groggy as he got a bump in the head somewhere, it appears, and Massey not quite sure where he is at this stage. He's had a terrific game, as you say, Ted. 7 minutes of play remaining, and it's 8-all. Brown's ball in, and North's ball switched across now, and here comes the lock forward. Adams, centre field, Pute to Stapleton. Stapleton running hard, but there are defenders there. Maguire takes him front on, and Trelfo underneath. Close to the halfway mark. Klein hands to Brown. Brown then to second row forward, Massey, and then on to Pute. And O'Doherty has taken the ball from him, but the ref... O'Doherty anyways is trying.
Valley players trying hard to settle O'Doherty down. He's obviously a little upset.
He plays it hard, O'Doherty. He certainly goes. Close to the halfway mark. Brown's ball in. And now Brown goes to the blind side. And caught on the halfway mark. Looking at the scrums favour Valleys by 19-18. There's not much in it now in that department. Peter Hall to play it back. Valley hooker O'Doherty slow, getting to his feet. Brown tries that little tactical kick, and it's a good kick. Runs into touch. Only about 15 yards out from the line, so Norths have this opportunity again now to score. The second kick coming up, 15 yards out, or rather not the second kick, it wasn't a penalty, the scrum rather. And 5 minutes of play remaining.
Possibly the most important scrum of the day so far.
Trelfo's ball in, and it's a Norths ball. They've got the chance now as Brown tries to go on his own, whipped it away to Lilly, and Lilly caught. Knocked the ball on.
And again, not a good pass. Ahead of the man, but far too low for him to run onto it without checking speed.
It's 19-all in the scrums. And again, it's a Norths ball as it comes on out to the 5-8. Tries to step inside, but Scanlon races in to kill the movement. Norths should sweep it across here on the open side now. I think with Peg back to Lobergaga for the field goal attempt, and there it is. It's pretty close, not quite there. It was very close, that one, I'd say.
The logical thing to do. Peter Lobergeiger knew what was going on and very carefully planned, called for the ball, plenty of time in which to set himself, but just went astray.
And now hooker O'Doherty has the ball for Valley. Now Perkins on to Gill, out wide to Mick Retchless, and then fullback Clark up into the movement, running well Clark. 10 yards short of the halfway mark. Trelfo, Retchless, Scanlon, and there Perkins out wide. Certainly giving North's defence a test here. The third tackle, whipped across into Trelfo. Trelfo running on his own as he's caught by the lock. It wasn't the lock, it was a hooker Wilson.
Fourth tackle.
Another scrum to go down for the fourth tackle, and there's 3 minutes of play remaining. A big chance it's going to be 10 minutes each way extra. Can someone score in the next 3 minutes? Brown's ball into the scrum. It's a Valley ball. On it comes to Scanlon. Back to full-back Clark. Clark's over onto the halfway mark. Stapleton, one of the tacklers, the last one over the top. As he plays it back now, it's sent on to Perkins. Perkins to Retchless. Retchless then to Smith. Dropped the ball and lucky to retain possession and not knock it on. Smith plays the ball. Perkins running. Second row forward. Steps out of a tackle. Stapleton runs across to pick him up, but the ball goes into touch. touch judge's flag up, close to the halfway mark.
Perkins threw a long, lofted pass right into the grandstand area of the field, hoping that someone would run onto the ball, but the players were not positioned for it.
Valley's led 6-4 at half-time. It's now 8-all. The scrums are 20-all, and it's a Valley scrum. Onto Scanlon. Scanlon into Trelfo. Back to Clark. Clark tries to get inside of Butte, but he was well covered. Trelfo. Here's Maguire. Butte, the tackler. Valley's winging across now as it comes to Trelfo to Smith. Smith running across field now, lobs a long one out to Norris and straight over his head and into touch. Well, poor old Mike Norris. All he could do was look at that one. North's ball, Brown in possession, loses the ball and Trelfo's on it. North's won it and lost it. There comes Perkins moving across the field, sending it back to Maguire. Maguire running strongly, and the roar from some of the Valley players and the boos from the North supporters. That's the second one. Richless up in the dummy half position for Valleys, across to Scanlon. Scanlon looks towards McKay, but then stands still as he's held up by the ankles by Johnny Brown. Now Perkins running with him. Valley's moving the ball well. Perkins Billy through. Perkins up to the 25 and it's dropped by Norris racing through. Very nearly a North's ball. It is a North's ball now. And it's play on. Norths will play the ball back as... North's ball. Peter Hall. Crunch. What heavy play. These forwards, in fact all players, are going to be very tired tonight on both sides. But and now it comes back to Lober Geiger, who's going to kick downfield and gives it across to Jimmy Adams a lot. Valley lost the ball. Maguire's ball for Valley. A fight for possession, but Maguire has the ball for Valley. 35 yards out. Maguire's ball. Richless plays it back. It's sent back to Ray Smith, who's setting himself for a field goal attempt, but he had to get it away to Scanlon. Scanlon over the 25 inside to Clark. Clark looking for support, and Lober Geiger wraps it up. Coming up at any moment. What a gripping final it has been. And what a vital kick it is for Norm Clark, Valley's fullback, who has kicked 1 out of 2 attempts so far. It's a long way out, only 5 or 6 yards in from touch, and he's kicking into this break. A vital kick, a pressure kick, in a grand final for a long time, Ted.
No, they certainly have not, and I notice nobody's leaving the ground.
No, 30,000 people, not one person has left the ground that we've been able to check on. A few were ready to leave when Norm Clark was taking that kick. I don't know how much it missed by. It was not our angle. We couldn't see that kick from our position. It was on the other side, but it wasn't good enough. So Norths will kick off the halfway mark. Peter Lober Geiger kicking deep into Valley's territory, over Clark's head, back over his try line. Clark to run it up now. 10 yards out. Massey dives in but misses him, and Adams is there for the tackle. Valley, Maguire. Adams trailing him through and pushes away from one player. Maguire, he bowled over a North's player, the 5'8", Adams, as he plays it back. Trelfo, Scanlon, Richless. Looks towards Mears. The little kick from Mick Richless, who was half knocked over. Following through goes Lilly, and rather, is it Lilly? It must be on the other side wing. I can't see who that North's player is. It is Lilly. He came across, and now here's fullback Lober Geiger. Now Peter Hall, up to the halfway mark. Lilly doing up his bootlaces at this stage. His play on the halfway mark. Wilson runs some dummy half towards Norris and gives it to Massey. Massey props, beats one player, looking for a player alongside of him, but there was no one there. He was looking for the short pass, but Lilly was down back on the field doing up his shoelace at the time, and that certainly points out one of the obsessions that you have, Ted, about players doing up shoelaces on the field. They should be tight enough at the start of play.
Here's cramps, and this is the thing that tells in extra time. Cramps usually take over, and on this occasion it's O'Doherty on the ground receiving attention for a cramp in his leg.
Been a hard, tough match, and certainly a very warm day. Not as hot as it was last week, but still quite a warm day, and O'Doherty has played very hard throughout this 80-odd minutes of football.
It would not be surprising to see more than one player in a similar position to O'Doherty shortly.
We haven't a time on the clock at this stage, but it's 8 all, and we'll have to play it by ear. We'll certainly know when the first 10 minutes is over, because the players will change over from there. O'Doherty's all right again. The whistle from referee Ron Ward. Telfa's ball into the scrum, and North's ball as it comes onto Adams. A long pass out wide to Gordon. Gordon to Pute. Pute tries to get inside of a player, runs straight into Richless, who is positioning himself as a sort of extra cover there, and he'll play it back. 35 yards out from the line. Here's Kleinhans. Kleinhans nearly through, up to the 25. The defence being fully tested now. Stapleton pass to Brown. Brown to Hall. Hall tries to charge through, and North's using these big forwards again. The third tackle indicated. Look at Lobergeiger coming up for the field goal attempt. He was getting into position for it. A long pass out wide, and look at Adams flying to the corner. Jimmy Adams is over. Adams has scored the only try of the match. Norths have scored and hit the front to lead by 11 points to 8. Jimmy Adams scored in the corner. Here it is again on action replay. And look at Lobergeiger coming up for the field goal attempt. He was getting into position for it. A long pass out wide, and look at Adams flying to the corner. Jimmy Adams is over. Adams has scored the only try of the match. Norths have scored and hit the front.
Well, the first try of the match to Norths, and well earned and well deserved too. Jimmy Adams ran well. It was Brown who threw the pass, lofted it well to him, allowing him to run onto it without checking pace. A good try.
North's leading 11-8. Lobergeiger attempting to make it 13-8 in this first 10 minutes of the time-on period. Peter Lobergeiger, a long kick from out on the touchline, a very difficult place to kick goals from, and into the breeze, and it looks to be in front of the post. It's waved away. Norths hold a slender lead of 3 points, but the game's not over yet. But the pressure is right on Bally's. Been a tremendous grand final as Bally's fullback Norm Clark brings it back to the halfway mark. Clark kicks deep into North's territory. Brown covers it himself, the skipper, up to the 25, beats one tackle, and he's down just on nearly 28 yards out from his line. Wilson gives it to Massey, and Massey driving up the middle, caught by Gill. The lock forward, Wilson to take the dummy half position, and it switched to Brown on the blind side. Steps inside a tackle and looking for his winger, but the player inside is Peter Hall over the halfway mark. Wilson gathers the ball. North's now really pouring it on as they come up to the 25. Flipped across to Lilly. Lilly racing across as he's in centre field, 35 yards out, and that's the fourth tackle.
Well, Norths are looking better now than they've looked throughout the entire game as far as attack is concerned. And still, the defence of Valley seems a little bit shattered and ragged there. Possibly a letdown in spirit after having the first try of the game scored against them. Just holding off that little bit, and Norths capitalising on it to the full.
Norths leading 11-8. Valley's led by 6 points to 4 at half-time. It's a Valley ball to Scanlon. Scanlon to Smith in the centre. Smith props, and there are two tacklers there as Adams was underneath and Gordon over the top. Sent on to Trelfo. Trelfo then to Perkins. Perkins out wide to Clark. Clark props and comes up the middle. Clark up to the halfway mark. A very strong run from Clark and kicks ahead. He could be there too. He's racing through. It's a good run. Richards and Lobergeiger. Here's Clark right on behind them. And Lobergeiger picks it up and forces the ball. So the pressure is right back on North there. A great chance then for Valleys to score.
And I would say that move by Clark that we just saw will lift the spirits of Valleys back again. They know they're right back into the game, pressing now in North's territory.
It was a hard run for Lobergeiger and also for Richards. Certainly not North's fastest men, those two.
No,
as Clark was right breathing down their necks, and they realised that a try was going to go Valley's way if they didn't get that extra yard.
Yes, Clark was leaving them for dead as far as pace was concerned. He was pegging them back at every stride.
And now the drop out by Lobergeiger down the middle, down to Clark on the halfway mark. Here's Norm Clark running it up. He looks the flick pass to 5'8" Scanlon, and Scanlon manages to get it back to Maguire, lobbed across to Gill. Gill sends it back into Norris, and Norris over the 25 has lost the ball. Lobergeiger snapped it up very quickly, and North's on the attack. Out to Pute. Cute tries to get inside of Smith, but Smith wraps him up. Ray Smith, the tackler, running from dummy half goes Wilson. Wilson decides to run on his own on the blind side, but it was Mears who pulled him down. The third tackle indicated North's 10 yards short of the halfway mark as it comes on to Richards, and Richards bumps in the left winger, bumps away from one player. It was O'Doherty, but he's down this time, and that's the fourth tackle, a scrum to pack down. Looking at the scrums are 22 all, and the penalties 9 all. North's lead 11-8. It can't be very long now before the first of the 10 minutes is played. Whipped across to Scanlon, Scanlon to Retchless, back again, dummy, that's crossed to Gill, Gill out wide to Ray Smith, a nice move from Valleys. Smith looking around now as he's trying to get support, but Massey says enough of that too, and over the top for the second tackle, making sure that he didn't pass the ball. Gill runs from the dummy half position, Lilly underneath him, and Perkins running strongly, very nearly in, got the pass away to Gill, and Gill dives to the corner, and Gill's over. The second try of the match, and it's 11 all. The crowd have gone wild. Completely wild. 11 all. Ian Massey left on the ground. Has a leg injury. Cramps again. Gill runs from the dummy half position. Lilly underneath him, and Perkins running strongly. Very nearly in. Got the pass away to Gill, and Gill dives to the corner. And Gill's over. A great try, and it's 11 all again. Can Norm Clark kick this one and give Valleys the lead? 13-11. It's only 2-3 yards in from touch. The sand placed on the ground, and Valleys number one, who's had an excellent game today, Norm Clark, sets this one. He could easily kick this one. The crowd standing up everywhere. Starting to sit down now, as other people are telling them to sit down, they can't see. Another vital kick for Norm Clark. 11 all, 1 try each. A great fight back from Valley, and there's Clark's kick, and that's a good kick. Look at it, right down the middle. A goal. Look at the crowd, they've gone wild. Valleys have hit the front again. They've done what seemed to be the impossible. They came back and they've hit the front. 13-11. Lobergeiger to kick off. Downfield it goes to Scanlon. Scanlon caught by North's 5'8" Adams. I suppose Norths will be setting themselves, when they get the ball, that is, for a field goal attempt. There's Maguire, Moose Maguire charging through. Norths will make every attempt to set themselves for a field goal attempt to level the scores, and who knows, we could have a drawn game at the end of the 10 minutes each way. That would mean, of course, a replay next week, and that would be to the glee of the BRL, I think. Another gate of 30,000. Let's knock on the scrum to pack down. That would go down well with the league, Ted, and I think a lot of people here today would like to see a replay too.
Yes, I think the people themselves would like to see it, and I know the league would.
The Valley ball at Gill. Midway between Valley's 25 and the halfway mark. Gill to play it back. It's sent on now to Mears. Wrapped up by Adams, who's been tackling very well. On to Retchless, and Retchless using the breeze this time. It's a beautiful kick from Retchless. It looked good, and then there was some indecision, but the touch judge, Henry Albert, raced down, and it's taken play right down to North 25. A great kick from Mick Retchless.
Yes, this has put Valleys on the attack again, and we do not have the exact time here with us at the moment, but there should be nothing more than a minute at the most, I should imagine.
Of this first 10 minutes. And then a changeover of players to change ends. It's North's ball. Brown gives it to Lobergeiger. Lobergeiger props and tries to come inside. There's no one close enough to feed the ball back to as he spun around. And there's the whistle. 10 minutes is up. 10 minutes remaining in the game. And the kids think the game is over. They're all running onto the ground. They don't understand this rule of the 10 minutes each way extra. And are about to be chased back off the field again. It's rather a funny one, isn't it? I've never seen this happen before.
That's right. I think the usual thing is to get in front of the TV camera and throw your arms and legs and do a lolly dance.
Seems to be the popular thing, and go home and have a look at it. But it's back to the halfway mark. North's now running with the assistance of the northeasterly breeze for the final 10 minutes. Who knows, we could be back here next week. Same time, same station. Clark placing it on the halfway mark and taking his time about it too. Why wouldn't he waste time? Some of the kiddies still on the field, the policeman ushering them away. Valleys lead 13-11. Clark kicks deep into North territory. Johnny Brown pulls it down, makes sure of it, and returns the kick over the halfway mark. Clark takes it on the bounce, and now we'll run it up. North's moving up. Massey moving across field. Here's Gill. Gill gets away from Thompson. Norris flying. The left winger really tearing when he got onto the ball, Norris. 10 yards inside North's territory. Mick Retchless in the dummy half position. The pass comes back to Trelfo. Trelfo moving across. There's plenty of defenders there, including Stapleton. Valley, Scanlon, Retchless. Players getting tired. The tackle's not as effective as they were. Lober Geiger under pressure as Retchless races back. But Lober Geiger gets away from Retchless. He's caught this time. No, he's not. A great effort, Lober Geiger. Lobbed it across to Richards. And the heavyweight winger is going to have a run. Well done, Lober Geiger. He's left on the ground too as Stapleton makes a run. Stapleton tries to get it away, but Adams was just overrunning the pass a little bit. Now Wilson to Brown. Johnny Brown said, we're not beaten yet. And he uses the breeze, kicks across field. Good kick, Clark following it. The bounce is right for Clark now. And up runs Clark to the halfway mark. Klein hands the tackler. Just short of the halfway mark. On to Scanlon. Scanlon tries to step his way through. Johnny Brown sitting on the ground injured. He's not looking the best. But the other players are on their feet. Brown back on his feet again now, moving slowly back into position. Perkins to play it back as Mears sends it to Maguire. Plenty of tacklers for Maguire. No latitude there. The fourth tackle, a scrum to pack down. So it's another vital scrum. The scrums favour Valleys by 1, 24 to 23. The penalties 9-all, and Valleys lead 13-11 after leading 6-4 at half-time. Brown's ball into the scrum. Valley ball, Telfo, caught by Brown. Telfo to Gill and Scanlon. Scanlon tries to jump through a tackle. 8 minutes to go. Telfo sends it back to Gill. 5 yards inside North's territory. Sent back by McCabe to Mears. Mears is down. Fourth tackle. Well, the scrums are vital from here in. Possession is vital to both sides. 7 minutes to go, and Valleys hold a 2-point lead. Another Valley ball. Retchless. Pull back Clark. Just caught by the leg by Brown, knocked off balance, onto Smith in the centres. Smith gets away from Gordon for a moment, but then Massey's over the top. Player sitting on the ground. This is Maguire. Gained ground. Underneath him was Hall. Valley playing the ball back now to Scanlon. Scanlon steps over the 25. Goes Scanlon. Still some heavy tackles. Clark is still injured but he's moved back. A field goal attempt is bounced away. North's trying to pick up the ball, and Johnny Brown swoops on it. He badly wants possession. Ian Massey running strongly from the second dummy half position. Mass over the 25. Now from the scrum, North's win the ball. It's moved on to the second tackle as John Gordon in the centres takes it up to the halfway mark, tries to get it back to Wilson. Knocked forward. It's still a loose ball. Valleys pick it up. As North's pick it up again, but the knock-on being ruled, a scrum to pack down on the halfway mark.
Perkins on the ground, the second row forward for Valleys. Very slow at getting up. Left leg hurt, up high on the thigh, I would say.
Valley's leading 13-11. We make it about 4 minutes of play remaining. That's 4 minutes that Norths have got either to kick 2 points or add to those points. Plus a little bit of injury time. There's a bit of injury time, probably about 5 minutes. Scrum packing down on the halfway mark. A little bit of injury time, of course, possibly about 5 minutes remaining.
Retchless bringing all his backs up level with the base of the scrum now, giving nothing away, not interested in attacks, concentrating on defence.
And it's a North ball as it's shot across to the 5/8 and then in the centre onto Richards. Richards breaks away from the tackle over the halfway mark. Smith over the top. Richards to play it back. Gordon in the dummy half position. There's Adams. Adams into the 5/8, moving well, the other Adams, and almost cut through midway between the 25 and the halfway mark. Wilson plays it back onto Massey. Massey sends it to Brown. Brown lobbed it right out wide to Richards, and Richards running strongly up to the 25. He's got the crowd to their feet, and the heavyweight wingers down 15 yards out in the line. One tackle to go. Gordon in the dummy half position. Ian Massey said, I'll swing this one across as it comes on to Brown. Brown to Peter Hall, and Hall's going to try to go through himself. He sends it back to Wilson. Wilson sending it on now to Stapleton. On it comes to Brown. Brown back to Richards, and Richards flying to the corner. Gordon running. Gordon's over.
Flags up.
Flags up. Flags up. I thought for a moment it was out to the winger Richards, but it was Gordon inside of him. The flag is up, just put his foot out, ever so close, but not quite good enough. A 5-yard scrum, only a couple of minutes play remaining, a vital scrum to both teams. Valley's leading by 13 points to 11, and it's a Valley scrum. Telfo holds onto it for dear life as Adams tackles him, and now it's Clark going to ground very quickly. Valley's only concerned with holding onto the ball now. Now Maguire very nearly dropped it, but underneath him came Adams. Gill, a lock forward, standing there to send it across to Retchless. Retchless, a wide pass then to centre Smith, and then to Norris. Long passes at this stage of the game, and pretty dangerous ones really, but the Norths bottle up Mike Norris now on the 25. Very dangerous passes at this stage, leading 2 points, do you think, Dan?
They certainly are. Anywhere in the own 25, especially in front like that. The passes were long and wide.
Wide open for an intercept. At this stage of the game, it could cost the game.
Retchless again bringing his backs right up level with the 25.
13-11 in favour of, and it's a penalty to Valley. It's a penalty to Valley, which will get them out of trouble on this 25 against Johnny Brown. Obviously, he's doing everything to win a scrum.
Yes, he's not supposed to throw the ball down, so the rule says. Downward movement from above the knees that was thrown in.
Now Smith kicks the touch on the grandstand side and finds touch. Valleys have got the grand final in their grip, leading by 13 points to 11. Their first grand final since 1957 is now in their grip. They have possession. O'Doherty just barges forward himself and very nearly got through, but Hall had him by the ankle, and that was a shin strap of some kind that went through as Gill comes through. Shin guard was hurled away by Peter Hall. Gill playing it back. And now second row forward Perkins takes it. Valley's just playing out the time. Hold the ball at all costs. 1 minute to go, we make it, as it comes on to Trelfo to Scanlon. Scanlon back inside, then to Mears, and Mears whips it across out wide to Scanlon. Scanlon turns it back onto Clark. Clark looking around now and goes to ground, but that's the fourth tackle. The time ticking away ever so quickly now for Norths. Valleys can't go quick enough for them. This could, as we said, be their first grand final for 13 years. A long drought, but they badly want this one as North sent it on to Adams. Adams props and tries to get through, but the defenders are there. Valley swarming in now as they can certainly smell victory of the 1970 grand final. Ian Massey sends it back now on to Pute. Pute tries to push away from a player and goes down in centre field. Midway between the 25 and the halfway mark, it's on to Johnny Brown. He's going to kick. Kicks over the heads. Following through comes Clark. Racing down comes another Norths player is Adams, and Clark gathers it just in from touch. Pushes away, grabs his man, but Abraham runs it up the valley and towed through with Gordon coming through for the tackle. Running through, I should have said a moment ago, as the play comes back onto Gill. Gill running across field now. Stapleton's there. It's back onto Maguire, down the centre, but offside. Forward pass. Forward pass indicated. Norths thought they had their hope there for a moment, but it was a forward pass, not offside play. There it is. Crowd roaring. The play must finish. The scrum has to go down. Time is up. Crowd roaring onto the field. It's a Valley ball and it looks to be all over now. No, it's a North's ball. Whose ball is it? Johnny Brown has the ball, but it's just about to go down as Valley's hold it up and it's all over. Valley has won the grand final. Well done, Valley. A tremendous victory. Congratulations, Mick Retchless. You certainly deserved it, playing in your 4th grand final. You deserve this victory. A hard, tough match. Congratulations, Valley. Congratulations, Norths too, on a great game. It was well worth seeing. These 30,000 people here enjoyed every moment of this great grand final. But it's all over for 1970, and Valleys have defeated Norths by 13 points to 11 after leading 6-4 at half-time.